welcome back to First and Filoni for our week three episode. And man, oh man, we had a crazy week too on a pretty slow slate, I would say. I'm your host, Donovan and Filoni, and always with me, Andrew Cooper. How's it going, man?
What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. I do want to say thoughts and prayers out to Charlie Kirk's family. I know we're not a political podcast, but I mean, it's just kind of crazy things that happen, and we'll just leave it at that, man. Just senseless things in the world, but. Let's go ahead and just talk about some football, man, and kind of get our minds off things. We'll start here in quarter one. We're going to talk about hot seats already. Week one in the season, we're going to talk about hot seats. And man, what can I say? I needed some crow here, right? We had some major losses this weekend, and hot seat talk is already starting to happen. Three of the teams I tend to cheer for had massive losses this weekend. Oklahoma State lost 69 to 3 to Oregon. Virginia Tech was up 20 to 10 at half and lost 44 to 20 to Vandy. And then Florida, of course, lost to, I mean, I told you last week, watch out for USF, to a great USF team. Um, but let's go ahead and start here. Which coach is on the hottest seat and gets fired first? Can be anybody, could be, Virginia Tech, could be Oklahoma State, could be Florida. Does any of those teams or coaches last the full season, do you think?
Uh, Honestly, to me, I think it's going to come down to this weekend. I know a lot of pressure is on like Brent Pry and a lot of people's on Billy Napier. I think
Yeah.
those two are definitely the most two, you know what I'm saying, talk about. Um,
Yeah.
to me, I feel like if Brent Pry does not go out and dominate ODU this weekend, he's gone middle of the year.
ODU's been tricky for him too.
Yeah, it's not like that's a gimmick game, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, let's go ahead and just start off Virginia Tech, if we're talking about it. I mean, man, they used to be like one of the best teams in the ACC, going to the ACC championship game multiple times under Frank Beamer. And I think you're right. Watch out for ODU this weekend. I think Brent Pye has the mindset. I just don't think he has the coordinators there to kind of get it
Oh,
there.
it's funny. It's funny you say that though, because I was looking at something on TV, actually on Facebook, and it pops up on my thing of like old throwback like newspaper posts back when we were in school, and like
Yeah.
Brian Randall, like they always did like the Virginia top 50. You know what I mean, in the sports
Oh
page
yeah.
every year or something like that. And I keep scrolling through those when they do pop up on my Facebook. And a lot of the kids, man, from Virginia, like well-known kids from other than like Percy Harvin, who went to Florida. But I mean, D'Angelo Hall, Brian Randall, Marcus Vick, Michael Vick,
Yeah.
all those guys were from the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
And then if you look back at some of these, I have to screenshot when I see them again, I'll send them to you. But when you go through these pages, when you look at these pictures that these people post, of all that stuff, three-quarters of that top 50 in the state of Virginia were either committed to the Virginia Tech or they were like in the running for it.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't know, man. I think Virginia Tech's close. I don't know if Pryor's the answer, but they need to get back to how Beamer used to coach with good defense and good special teams and kind of just let the offense be what it is. They just don't have an identity, I don't think, right now. Kyron Jones, he was high 2 years ago, and then I don't know, the last 2 years he's kind of fell off. I know he had an injury as well. They've given Pryor a shot. I'm just not sure if it's him. I don't know if it is or not. But they need to go back to the well. For Oklahoma State, I think at the end of the season they're going to promote Mike Gundy to the front office in some like glorified position. He's done so much for that Oklahoma State program. I mean, he basically is that Oklahoma State program. So they're not going to fire him mid-season. I think they let him play it out this season and then get a coach next season and start rebuilding. But for Florida, I mean, that's the answer, right? Billy Napier is 20 and 20 in his first 40 games at Florida, with his predecessors were 30 plus wins. Mullen was like 34 and 9 or something like that. Um, it's just unacceptable, man. USF is a great team, but this continues. It's just unacceptable. He's still calling plays, and they're still run like the first only like 4 or 5 plays like the entire game. They try to do reverses and jet sweeps. They only ran the ball like 18 times that game, and 6 of them came in that first drive when they scored a touchdown. Like it just doesn't make sense, man. Like he's got to go. I, I'm still going to be a fan and cheer for them this year because I think they have the talent roster, but either he needs to hire an offensive coordinator to run the show or he needs to go. And if he does go, I mean, just look over across the sideline. That Alex Golish, I called it last year. Alex Golish is going to be the coach to watch going forward. Um, I just think, him, maybe John Gruden, Lane Kiffin, all the rumored people, right? Let's go ahead and move on to the second question, though. What team has fallen the most from last year? Now, this can be any team across the nation, and I have a team that we've talked about every single week already. But I'll let you go first here.
Let me look back at my notes.
Or while you're looking, I'll go. I'll just go ahead and go. I mean, it's Kansas State, right? It's Kansas State. They lost to Army. Where Army lost to Tarleton State, not Charleston State, Tarleton State the week before. We've talked about Kansas State every single week, right? I get you kick Will Howard out for Avery Johnson to get younger, but Avery Johnson is not the answer. He can't move the ball downfield. They can't do anything. Like Kansas State isn't the Kansas State from 3 years ago, 4 years ago that we're used to seeing. And it just might be time for a change there. I think they have fallen the most from last year, especially with all the hype going in.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. I mean, it's kind of a tough one, man. I mean, you're always so used to the rise and the falls of all these,
Right.
top predominant teams. I kind of want to stay more in the ACC since you picked that. I mean, there's one that, a lot of people could probably beg to differ, and I'll just throw it out there, Alabama. You're so used to them jet rolling.
Yeah, I'm a fan of DeBoer though.
Oh yeah. Okay, so some people might say Alabama, but to me, I'm going to stay in the ACC because I am an ACC guy. Sorry to everybody who wants to hear otherwise, but to me, it's Virginia Tech. You're not used to seeing this kind of Virginia Tech football.
Sure. Yeah. No,
I
I
mean,
mean you're not wrong.
when's the last time that you could honestly look back in history when Frank Beamer was there with Bud Foster as a defensive coordinator, and you can honestly say, "Wow, like
Yeah.
what are we doing?"
Yeah, they were at least, 7, 5, 8, and 4 at their floor every single year. And I can see that. I think there's probably a couple names as well. We could probably do a couple like West Virginia, but I think they're on the right track with Rich Rod. Um, I mean UCLA, if you want to go all historic, like UCLA has been garbage for years.
What about
Um,
what about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yes, 100%. They hired Luke Fickle, and ever since they hired him, they're trying to go spread offense when that's not what their recruiting base is. Run the ball. Like that's what they should be doing. Remember Monty Ball, Melvin
And Russ Wilson.
Gordon, Dwyer, like all of them
Yeah.
big boys up there that used to just run, 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 run. Like
I
I
mean,
just
if you
don't
could
understand.
also really and truly, if listeners really wanted somebody out of the SEC, you could also say Auburn too.
Yeah, but Auburn's been down for a couple of years. I'm thinking like a 1 year change, and you're right with Alabama that if we're doing a 1 year change, it is Alabama. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, we can go a multitude of ways. A USC if we're going to go multiple years.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's go ahead and move on to quarter 2 here and upset meter. So we had the upset meter since we had a few upsets last week. We have a couple great games that could be on the upset this week. So just off the top of your head, on a scale of 1 to 10, how high, or 10 being the highest alert that you can be, what is the upset alert for these games and why? We'll go one at a time here. First one is Clemson at Georgia Tech. Clemson had a tough one last week and hasn't looked good in their first 2 games here. And Georgia Tech is finding ways to win once again. So what is the upset meter do you have this week for them?
I'm going to keep this at about a 6, only because Georgia Tech has not beaten Clemson in quite a while.
Okay. I think we're different then, man. I got a 9.5. I honestly,
I'm not saying that, after what I saw against Troy, but a lot of people underlook Troy too, though.
that's true. That's true.
Troy's always a really good school, but they also play really good teams every year. So
Yeah. I think it's 9.5. I think Georgia Tech preview is going to outright win this game. I think if they didn't have the delay on Saturday, they would have lost to Troy. They can't run the ball. Garrett Riley's running Dabo's offense, and Dabo's offense hasn't worked in years. They hired Garrett Riley for a reason. Let him coach. Let him run his own offense. Next game here, we got Wisconsin at Alabama. Talking about powerhouses that fall down. I'll go first here. I think this is more of a six for me. Probably would have said this about FSU too at the beginning of the season, but Wisconsin is without their starting quarterback, Edwards. They have a good defense, but I think Bama got back on track last week, beating the brakes off of the Louisiana Monroe team. But I'm still not high on Wisconsin because of everything that we kind of alluded to earlier. So I'm going to six here.
yeah, I'm kind of at like a 4 or 5 on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Next game, Arkansas at Ole Miss. What you got?
Mm, I'm gonna stick with probably about a 4 here.
Really?
Yeah, I think Lane Kiffin's gonna find a way to win with the lefty.
See, I like Lane Kiffin. I think he's a good coach. Lefty starting quarterback did not look good against Kentucky last week. And Taylon Green in Arkansas has looked nasty again this year. I think it's an 8.5. I think this is a spot that Lane and Ole Miss always lose, right? A team that they're supposed to win. I hope they win because I don't like Sam Pittman at Arkansas. That's another program that we can say that has fallen down as Arkansas with the Darren McFadden era back in the 2010s. Um, but I have this one at an 8.5. Next game here, we have Georgia at Tennessee. I'm going to go with a 7 here. I think Georgia wins this. Heupel has not scored more than 20 points versus Georgia in his Tennessee tenure. Now, we could have said it about Bama too until they beat Bama, but um, I still think Georgia has their number. Tennessee looks great this year, though. They actually can throw the ball downfield, unlike with Nico. The defense is humming. The offense looks more explosive with Aguilar. This has a chance to be game of the week. What do you got? What's your upset alert?
I'm going to 8
Yeah, I can see that as well.
because I can tell you if Gunnar Stockton goes in there and he slacks off one bit in that hostile environment,
Yeah,
it's going to get ugly quick.
if it was a night game and not a 3:30 game, if it was a night game, I would be closer to a 9, I think. Um, South Florida at Miami. Still a 18 and a half point spread, just like with Florida. I'm going with a 4 here. If USF wins, they should be number one in the college football right now. Just move to number one because they have the best resume. They beat a ranked Boise State, they beat a ranked Florida at Florida, and then they'll beat a ranked Miami at Miami. If they win, I don't think they will, but if they win, they need to be number one.
Yeah, you've been reading too much into the critics. Yeah, I'm gonna go
Uh,
about a 4 or 5.
yeah.
I don't see the third time the charm.
No, I don't either. I would love to, but I don't think so. I have it as 4 as well. And then finally, last game here, and maybe game of the week as well. There's a couple candidates this week. Vandy at South Carolina. What you got?
Depends on what fan you are of this game, because I think the home field advantage is definitely going to help South Carolina a lot this week.
Well, we said
But
that about Tech.
I said that
Yeah.
last week about Virginia Tech.
I got
I'm
you
going
to
to
put
say
your answer.
I bet you this is going to be around to me a 7, 7.5.
Oh, I have a 9.2. I have a 9.2 on the alert, man. Never count out Diego Pavia. That little man can ball. I mean, he's all of 5'9", and he puts that team on his back and just wins games. Sellers has kind of struggled this year. If he continues to struggle and the wide receivers don't step it up, um, I think this is going to be a loss. And this is also a loss that Beamer usually has. I hope he doesn't. I like it. I like Shane Beamer, but he needs to get over this hump. And I think he'll be, if he does, then he'll be considered one of the better coaches in the SEC. All right, let's go into our fan favorite section, the superlatives in quarter three. Andrew, who are your winners of the week?
Winners of the week, I got to go with Vanderbilt.
Yep.
100%. I mean, you can say what you want. We've both experienced a game, especially a night game and a home opener at Virginia Tech. And in order for them to go down and be down like they were and come back in a really good football atmosphere, that's kudos to them, man.
Yeah, I didn't even have them. I mean, obviously, the obvious answer is USF. Unless they have a conference loss, they have the playoff locked up.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, I figured you were going to say USF, so that's why I went
yeah,
somebody else.
yeah. No, I mean, they're the Goldust is going to be the next P4, the next big P4 head coach there. Just watch. Maybe at Florida. Another winner, I think, is Oklahoma. I'm not sure if you watched any of that game, but Mateer looks good, man. I didn't think I would say that. Mateer kind of looks like a Baker Mayfield when he was there at Oklahoma. Um, I'm interested to see what they do in the SEC going forward. So let's watch out for Oklahoma here. Losers of the week, I'm going to go. You already know who I'm picking. It's Florida. Um,
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Billy Napier needs to be fired. I've called it. This is the third year in a row. I've called it. He just needs to be fired. He needs to go. Do you have any other losers of the week?
Uh, you could say UCLA.
Yeah, with Nico Amaliva.
Yeah. I mean,
How about Nico just being the loser of the season? He left
yeah.
a great Tennessee team for a bad UCLA team, and he's talking about that. Oh, he's only worried about the NFL. He's not going to make the NFL.
No, I mean, dude, this one's pretty obvious. I mean, you got to go to Florida here, right? I mean, who else
Yeah,
really stands out to you other than, a game-winning field goal?
yeah. All right, players of the week. I got three quarterbacks, man, and your answer is probably going to be the same. It's Pavia, Brown, and Mateer. Pavia from Vanderbilt, Brown from USF, and then Mateer from Oklahoma. They all led their teams to victory. Mateer is firmly in the race for Heisman right now. Pavia, I mean, if they keep winning, Pavia's in the race for Heisman too. So those are my players of the week.
Nah, I only got two. And ironically, well, I got three. I got the quarterback for Oregon,
Yeah,
under
DJ
Dan
Moore.
Lanning.
DJ
Yeah, under
Moore. He's
Dan Lanning.
nasty.
He is tearing it up. He's pretty fun to watch. The other two obviously are going to be in the ACC. I got to go with my boy CJ Bailey. He
Yeah.
played his ass off against a really good UVA team. And mark my words, I think UVA is not getting a lot of credit. We
No,
probably should have
sneaky
lost
good
that
team.
game. But my boy, he came out of the half and dialed it up. So it was good to see him. And also want to go with actually a local kid around here, running back for Wake Forest, Damon Claiborne out of King William High School. He had 10 carries for 193 yards and three
Woo.
touchdowns against Western Carolina. Now, I would know that is Western Carolina, but still 10 carries for 193 yards is pretty damn good.
You got to watch out for him tonight as the show airs.
No, that's
NC State
tomorrow.
versus wait, well, when the show comes out, it's
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah, 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 Thursday.
Tonight when the game airs. Okay. I guess that probably leads into your game of the week. I'm assuming your game of the week is NC State versus UVA because that was a pretty electric game.
Yeah, I got that game, but I also got obviously the Florida USF. But how about dang, I just had it too.
I Baylor SMU was mine.
Yeah, that was the other one, but there was another one that I really thought was a. Damn, I can't even
Baylor
think of it
made
now.
Baylor made a 10-point comeback in that fourth quarter, went into overtime and won.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I gotta go with Troy against Clemson, even though they
yeah,
lost. But I mean,
yeah, yeah. That was a good one too. Like I said, Baylor versus SMU was mine. Still not really convinced of Baylor because of their defense, but Robertson, man, he can really throw the ball. And this kind of just alludes to everybody was worried about NIL kind of making all-star teams. And I think this season we're starting to see kind of more and more parity that even some of the G5 teams like Troy maybe get some rejects of Power 4 teams. and get some of the NIL money for them, and they're having some decent squads, man. I think we're starting to see a little bit more parity, and I'm hoping that continues a little bit in the NIL world.
100%.
Okay, and then the rotating category of the week, the under the radar of the game, under the radar game of the week for week three. Um, this one was kind of hard for me to pick. I'm not sure how under the radar mine is, but it's Duke versus Tulane.
Yeah.
Mensa versus his old team. Duke had a tough loss last week. Illinois just beat the brakes off of them. And Tulane is rolling with Retzlaff. I'm not going to call them by their team name like I did last year with BYU, but it does have something to do with Mr. Retzlaff religion in Tulane, kind of mixed together. But I mean, Tulane's just, they're balling out, man. They have a shot at the G5 as well. You know how much I love their logo and color, so I've always been a fan of them too. So Duke versus Tulane.
I'm going to go with the old backyard brawl, Pitt and West Virginia.
You think it's to be closer than expected, even though they lost, West Virginia lost to Ohio?
Yeah, man. Anytime them two teams play, it's always a good time, especially early in the year.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I mean, you could either do Pitt, West Virginia, or Vandy, South Carolina, in my opinion.
yeah, well, Vandy, South Carolina, I don't think is under the radar. That was this category was kind of hard for me to pick this week, but okay, let's go ahead and get into our Q4 and the game picks. The records as of right now are me 18 and 8, Andrew 17 and 9, and then my gambling locks are 50% on the ones that I give out. I'm making a little bit of money on the other ones that I place later on in the week, but not much. We're still not seeing the board right now. First game here, Colorado at Houston. Houston is favored by 4.5 points. Colorado is starting their third string quarterback, Staub, instead of Salter and Julian Lewis. Um, I don't think it matters. I think that Staub quarterback came in last week, excuse me, and gave him a jolt. And I think they give him a jolt here as well. I have Colorado.
You got Colorado over Houston?
Yes.
Hmm.
You got Houston?
I thought about it, but I guess I'll go Colorado.
All right. Next game here, we have what would have been a better game of the week if they won last week, Florida at LSU. LSU is only favored by 7.5. They struggled again last week versus Louisiana Tech, which makes me think the Clemson win is not going to be as impressive. This is a game that Brian Kelly typically loses. Trust me, growing up as a Notre Dame fan, um, I think Billy Napier should be fired, and he should be fired after this game once they lose. But I am going to go ahead and pick Florida to win this game as well. Um, what do they call it? The hungry dogs. What is it? The starving dogs. They're fighting for their lives. I think that's what it is this week. If he has the locker room like everybody says he does, I think they come back and win this game. So Florida.
I'm gonna take LSU.
Yeah, that's probably the smart pick. Next game, another sneaky good game. Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored by 6.5, but they have not won yet this season. They did have a bye week last week, so I think that helps them. Mike Elko has that defense humming, and Marcel Reed looks like a Heisman level quarterback. Who do you have in this game, Texas A&M or Notre Dame?
I've got Texas A&M.
See, I'm going Notre Dame here. I think Marcus Freeman gets 2 weeks to prepare. I think this comes down to a field goal. I think it's like a 17-14 game, something like that, low scoring, defenses win. Um, but Texas A&M, I can see them winning it too. Clemson at Georgia Tech. I already told you I think Georgia Tech's going to win. Clemson is -3.5. They were -6.5 to start the week. So it is going down closer to a pick 'em. I'm going Georgia Tech. I think they win this outright.
Yeah, I got Georgia Tech.
I thought you said you were going to pick Clemson on this one. The way you were talking about the upset meter.
Heck no, they're at Georgia Tech, dude. Well, I don't know. Haynes King, he's kind of dinged up.
I don't think that matters, man. I just don't think they can get anything going on offense.
Who's that?
Uh, Clemson. I
Oh
just
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah. No, that's why I'm picking Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia's only favored by 3.5. It is a 3:30 game. It is not a night game. I'm going Georgia here reluctantly. I want to pick Tennessee. I think Tennessee's much better this year, but I just something tells me Joey Aguilar is going to choke in this big game.
Yeah, I got to go with the experience of Kirby Smartness. Give me the dogs.
The next game is the game you already referenced, the backyard brawl, Pitt at West Virginia. Pitt's favored by 6.5. West Virginia lost to a great MAC team in Ohio last week. Was Parker Navarro. Um, I think what fuels Rich Rod are these games, and I think Rich Rod's going to have the boys ready, but I don't think he's going to be ready enough. I'm going Pitt here.
Yeah, I'm sticking to the ACC with Pitt.
USF at Miami. Miami's favored by 17.5 points. I think Miami wins this, and I actually think they win it by more than 17, unfortunately. I think USF's riding too high.
I've got Miami.
Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 7.5. Who you got?
Lane Kiffin and the boys.
Yeah, I think I do as well. But like I said, upset alert. I think that one could be a good game too. Vandy at South Carolina. South Carolina is favored by 5.5. Weird line. I don't think they should be favored by that much. I think South Carolina wins, but I think Vandy covers. I think it's a 3-point game.
Yeah, I'm going with Lenore Sellers.
And then
So I
finally,
think it's
last
gonna
game.
come down to a Beamer Bowl.
Yeah, I think so as well. Last game, Duke at Tulane. Duke is favored by 1.5 points. You already know who I'm going because I picked them already outright. Give me Tulane and the Green Wave best logo in sports.
Hmm. Yeah, I got to go with Retzloff. I
So
think after that
Tulane,
loss,
Tulane.
I think after that loss last week with Duke and Illinois, I think I think this is going to be a shootout, but I think Tulane because of the home field advantage.
Yeah, yeah, I do as well. It's still pretty warm down here in the South. I don't know if Duke's ready for that. Mensa should be, but I like what Manny Diaz is doing at Duke, though. I think they got a good future. I know you don't like to hear that, but bonus pick. NC State at Wake Forest coming up. I think NC State was favored by 7.5 points. What are your thoughts going into the game?
Winston-Salem is a house of horrors, and this is typically a game Dave Dorn always loses.
So you're picking Wake Forest?
No, I don't pick against my team. I think CJ and the boys finally break through, and then I'm hoping and praying that we can go 3-0.
Yep. Yeah, I think they win as well. I think it's a shootout. So I don't know if y'all's defense can stop a nosebleed right now. So, and I don't know why they were highly rated, but I just don't know. All right, so locks of the week. Duke versus Tulane. I got Tulane plus 1.5. Cal versus Minnesota. This is weird. Minnesota's favored by 2.5, but I'm going Cal plus 2.5 points. I love their quarterback. I don't know why Cal's not favored in this game. Oregon State versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech is favored by 22.5 points. I think this is your classic look ahead game. Texas Tech's got a big matchup next week, so give me Oregon State plus 22.5. The Georgia Tennessee game, I'm going under 49.5 points. I think it's a defensive shootout. I think both are going to play very conservative on offense because of the quarterbacks. Um, Look for a low scoring game. NC State at Wake Forest. NC State's favored by 7.5 points. Give me NC State minus 7.5. Um, Oregon at Northwestern. Oregon has been just beating the brakes off of people this year. I think Dan Lanning is out for revenge from last year. Dante Moore, the former 5-star from UCLA, transferred in and waited a week, um, or waited a year, and now I mean we're seeing what he could be. And West Coast bias, just like with Dampier, I think they could be in the Heisman at the end of it. But give me Oregon minus 28.5 points. The way they've been winning, I think they're going to win by 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Clemson and Georgia Tech. Clemson's favored by 3.5 points. I already think Georgia Tech's going to win outright, so give me Georgia Tech plus 3.5. Ohio at Ohio State. Another look ahead game. Also, Mac School, I love Maction. You know that. Parker Navarro at quarterback, so give me Ohio plus 30 and a half points. Um, Vandy at South Carolina. Battle of the quarterbacks. So give me over 47 and a half points. I think that's a low over under. Unless there's rain for some reason, I think that's going to be an over. And then final game, I couldn't go a show without mentioning my boy Dampier. Utah at Wyoming. Give me Utah minus 23 and a half. Wyoming can't score. They struggled with Akron, who has not scored yet in 2 weeks this football season. So give me Wyoming, or maybe he hasn't scored a touchdown. One of the two. So, or I'm sorry, give me Utah minus 23 and a half. All right, all good with those picks, man.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's the show for us this week. I know it was a little bit of a shorter one due to things that kind of happened today on Wednesday when we record. Next week, Andrew is out, so either a solo episode or a guest episode with potentially Libby. So be on the lookout for that. And as always, if you have any questions or anything you want us to discuss on the show, please just DM us on social media and we will talk about it. All right, see you next week.